I'm Terry Mixon, Paul E. Cooley, and blah, 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 and welcome to blah, 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 and then we get into our shit. No, that's not how that happened at all. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 578 of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, Mr. Terry Mixon. Mr. Terry Mixon, how the hell are you?
Sup?
I see by your tagline that you are still healing.
It's true.
Is this like a sexual healing kind of thing? Do we need to like put on some nice music?
That's right. We need some of that sexual healing music.
There we go. Yeah. I need to find I need to find time, but yeah, it'd be fun to put some royalty-free music like that every once in a while. Anyway, no. Okay, what are you healing and how are you healing and everything else?
It's been 5 weeks since I've had my rotator cuff repaired, and it's finally feeling somewhat more normal. I'll be at least another week and a half until I can get the sling off, but at least it's not giving me as much grief as it has. So maybe I'll be out of the sling by the time I'm done editing this novel, because I got to tell you, editing with one hand sucks.
Yes, coding with one hand sucks. Even worse, trust me. But yeah, that's kind of a pain in the ass. So PT's helping, everything's kind of going along. They're hurting you just enough.
The PT at this point is stretching.
Okay.
They
the hard
basically
stuff comes soon.
Well, after I see the doctor, not Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. So a week and a half from now, I'll see the doctor, and he'll make the call on whether or not I'm ready to move from stretching to something a little bit more painful.
Strenuous, yes. And then you have to thank your physical therapist for being Satan.
Thank you for hurting me. May I please have another?
Yeah, or, you wake up the next morning and, they call and like, hey, you missed your appointment. Yeah, that's because I'm curled up in the fetal position and can't fucking move. Thanks, asshole.
Well, luckily, I'm only doing physical therapy twice a week, so, I can have a few days to recover from the pain they inflict.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you're getting better, though. That's good.
Me too. I will be totally ready to get this sling off, because I am ready to get to the next novel. I'm still editing this one, but I'm ready to move on. It's true. Every single novel, that's the way it is. I'm done with this novel. No, you're not done with this novel. You're gonna make one more pass.
You're not done with the novel. No. Well, I got a couple days of recording in. I've only got 31,000, I think, words left to narrate for Trident, which means hopefully I'll get it done next week. What else? Writing on shipyards, and picked that novella and did a little with it. So yeah, I've been kind of busy trying to get everything going back again, get back on a schedule. So I'm writing in the morning, usually at least for like an hour in bites and bits, and sometimes it ends up being 2 or 3, just depends. But then I'll go take the dog for a walk, come back, do a little stuff, take a shower, come back downstairs and start working on something else. And if I get tired of working on that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go write, or, hey, I'm going to go record, or whatever. So as long as I just keep working on the shit that I have to do in bite-sized chunks, I'm doing pretty well. That's the way.
I've got a new way that I'm scheduling my day. I'll do all the writing until about 3:00, and then I'm done with that, and I'll go sit out in the sauna, which is basically the outdoors.
Yeah.
Read a book.
Yes. I'm starting another Peter F. Hamilton.
Isn't he dead? Hasn't he stopped writing because, he's dead?
I think he's actually fairly young.
He probably is. I don't really know.
Speaking, he's probably a bit older than us, but probably not much.
If you're saying our age, that's not young.
It's all relative at this point. If we say old, we mean fucking old at this point, because I'm almost 50.
If we say old, we mean holding your walker cane above your head, shouting at the sky.
We mean fucking Abraham Methuselah kind of old. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about. So, yeah.
We mean George H.W. Bush old.
But I think, I don't remember, I think the Mind Star whatever his first detective books were. There were 3 of them, the Greg Mandel books, which were good. I think those were the first ones he wrote. And then I think after that's when Night's Dawn came out. I just can't remember. Anyway, regardless, this will be like the fourth.
So you're going through a favorite author, but reading a new work on theirs.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure yet. I may have to go back and actually restart the book because there's so many goddamn characters I lost track already, which is bad. Really,
I think I'm gonna be doing almost the opposite. I'm gonna go back and revisit a series from my youth and reread it.
And which series?
Let me grab the book.
Oh boy. No, I'm afraid.
You shouldn't be afraid.
I'm very afraid. Oh, you're going back to the Perry Rodan.
That's right. I'll go ahead and dig this sucker out. And it was written in Germany in 1961 is when it started. And it was published in the late 70s. So at the time this story was written, man going to the moon had not happened.
Right. And we read
in 1961. I'm not sure that they'd even really seriously talked about it at that point, because Kennedy is the one that made the drive to do it, and that didn't happen until a couple of years later. I think.
Fuck, I can't remember.
Now I'm going to look because I want to know.
Do not spread disinformation. What is the actual year? When was Sputnik? 58? Sputnik 58? Fuck.
It was September 12th, 1962 is where he made that speech. So the Perry Rodan, the first book in that was written in Germany the year before. So that was still before man really was going to the moon. At that point in the novel, it talks about using an atomic rocket to go to the moon. Yeah. So it's definitely going to be something I'm going to have to take and keep in mind that this was written during a specific era of history. The Cold War was still in full swing.
Big time.
I won't say that views were different, but the way that they are expressed in writing is different. I'm sure that there's going to be sexism. I'm sure there's going to be racism. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of isms that would not be tolerated today. I am sure that there is going to be a real lack of character development story. It's going to be a pulp novel. So I'm going to have to go in with my blinders on and say, I've got to look at this as a product of its times.
Lower your expectations appropriately.
I loved the pulp when I was growing up. So we'll see how horrifying this is going back. I just
don't know I could go back and read an Executioner story without just laughing my ass off now. I think it would just destroy all of my childhood if I did that.
Oh, come on. Thunder and lightning. You know you want them.
Fuck. So Sputnik, for those interested, since I mentioned it, was 1957. October 4th, 1957 at 7:28 p.m. Boop, 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 boop. Yes, the first artificial Earth satellite that we know of. Yeah, it orbited for 3 weeks before its batteries died, and then silently for 2 months before it fell back into the atmosphere.
Start small, work big.
Just think how far we have come since then. Holy shit. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, just think how far we came between it and launching Voyager, which has left the solar system.
Yeah. Pioneer, are the Pioneers still running? No, that was Mars, right? Pioneer was Mars.
I think it was Mars, or it might have been Venus, but they're definitely not running. Not anymore.
Yeah. I'm thinking there was Voyager. What's the other one?
The other one is Voyager 1 and 2.
And it's Voyager 1 and 2. Okay. I couldn't remember if they were both Voyager or not.
They were.
Yeah, one's blind and one's deaf.
I think they may have fixed some of that. So,
okay, one was blind and one was deaf. That's all I remember. Is how they put it way back in the day. That was all of like a year ago.
I want to go ahead and have the 3 monkeys of space probes.
The 3 monkeys? Are you sure you don't want 12 monkeys?
Blind, deaf, can't speak.
Oh man, was I about to say something? Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
It had to do with another 3 in my world. Anyway,
hang on. Before we go on, I'm looking at your name there. Mongo.
Mongol.
You know what I think of as soon as I see that, right?
Blazing Saddles.
Planet Mongo.
Planet Mongo? What the hell's Planet Mongo?
Is that the right name? Flash Gordon? Wasn't that Planet Mongo?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Where Ming the Merciless ruled?
No, that was Mingo. That was a completely different thing. Or was it Mingamon?
Mongo, fictional planet, Flash Gordon. Whoop, whoop. Who remembers this shit? I can remember everything from when I was a kid. Not anything.
What'd you have for breakfast, Terry? What'd you have for breakfast? Same thing I had yesterday. Yeah, what was that?
So now we should totally rewatch Flash Gordon.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, come on. The Queen soundtrack makes it worthwhile, right?
Another movie I do not want to spoil by rewatching it. No, fuck that. I have fond memories of that goofy ass thing.
But we only have 42 hours to save the Earth.
You see, turbulence is when you have these little air pockets. Oh, shut the fuck up, dude.
That's Airplane the movie. That's not Flash Gordon.
No, Flash Gordon the movie. He's mansplaining to the woman about turbulence when they're in the private plane before Ming tears out the cockpit or whatever the hell it is he does. I'm talking the 80 version. You're talking probably 20s, teens, whatever the hell.
No, I'm talking about the 80s version.
The Queen soundtrack.
I don't recall. I'm sure that I've seen the 20s version, but I don't remember it.
I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of whatever that was. That was made in the 50s, wasn't it?
Well, considering they didn't have TV in the 20s, I'm pretty sure it wasn't made in the 20s.
Yeah. But I can't remember if they did those in the movie thingies as serials. I thought Flash Gordon was originally done as serial before it ended on TV. I
couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Why are we having this conversation when we're just trying to get the goddamn intro done for the show?
You know, you keep mentioning Flash Gordon. Now you're going to make me look over my shoulder.
Oh my God. We're never going to get going. We're never going to get going. Philip Francis Nolan. What? Oh, seminal Buck Rogers novel. Okay.
This is the novel that sparked the whole Flash Gordon thing. Or like I said, I'm not sure that it did it. I think it may have been written before. I think Buck Rogers existed before the novel, but the novel is radically different than the whole Buck Rogers theme.
Flash Gordon started as a comic strip in 1934. Was inspired by and created to compete with the already established Buck Rogers adventure. There you go.
Novel was written in the late 70s. It was written in 62.
Well, the film serials, I was right about that, started in 1936.
So the book came after, but let me tell you, this book is nothing like, the Gil Gerard.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
I mean, the back here, this is an accurate picture representation of an event happening in that story. It happened.
Jetpack Man, saucers, pew-pews.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story. So I picked up another copy of this because I couldn't find my original so I could reread it. Oh, God. My God, I am just, back in the old days.
Wow, we have just gone. We're just trying to do the intro and you've dragged us completely off topic.
I dragged us? Wait a second.
You dragged us.
This is no intro.
Oh, no,
this is a show.
I want you to stop living in your world of Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and come join us in reality here.
I refuse.
You refuse?
I refuse.
Well, see, in my reality, there's something behind you.
It's probably a cat.
It's not a cat. It doesn't look like a cat to me.
This may not turn out well.
My question is, are you not seeing it? Or am I the only one that can see it? Shudder.tv is basically they stream primarily horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they started making their own content, which is, the cool thing to do. And they're like $4.95 a month or something like that. I could write that shit off.
It's an expense.
It's an expense. It absolutely is. And I'm going to tell you why. I saw their version of H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. And wow, like the last 5 or 6 minutes are so goddamn trippy that I was just like, I am on an acid trip. I am so on an acid trip. But it had that whole cosmic sense to it. And they did it for the most part right. Nicolas Cage still can't act, but he didn't hurt the movie enough. He was an awkward weirdo. But
it's okay. Bruce Willis can't act either.
No kidding. Tommy Chong was absolutely hilarious. It was very well done. I was very pleased with the script. I was pleased with the dialogue and everything else. But it was fucked up. There was one scene that really got me, and I was just like, oh, I sat there for about 30 seconds. Just, oh God, it was awful. Anyway, so I watched that, and then I went and watched the black and white version, which was made a few years ago, which is a much more faithful adaptation, if you will, because it doesn't take place in the here and now. And that story takes place after World War I think.
It's fairly old.
After World War I. Anyway, if you haven't seen that one, it's on the Zon. It's a good one. It's really good cosmic horror in the sense no jump scares or any of that kind of shit. It's just creepy as hell. And it's funny how I got to see where they stole this from that and everything else in the new one. And how they basically took the story elements and put it together in modern day and made it work. But modern day audiences want to see more creature. They want to see more this, that, and the other. They're not happy with just seeing the shadows. So they started off doing it right, which is you just show bite-sized pictures of the creature, really creepy stuff, and you let the character drag you into the rest of it. You know, it makes much more sense that way. It just is, oh God, it was good.
I honestly can't remember which movie I saw this in, but it was one of these space horror type things like that. But for the first part where it actually showed anything dealing with the monster, it was like, that were like, you just only see little bits of it. It's like,
yeah,
it's just, no, it's like half a second of video of the thing going across there. And it was broken up in the middle of each. It was like, it literally was screen flash, screen flash, screen flash, screen flash. It's over. And you're like, so, what did I just see? What was that?
So basically it's just giving your mind a hint of what that is. So you're looking for it later. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that. I know my audience, whenever they see a shadow in the black, they're like, okay, is that just a shadow or is it something else? That's a good shtick to do, actually. But it was interesting to me that there's still, kind of love for the cosmic stuff that's actually still there. And I think they're just basically trying to make it more accessible now. So I'm really, I mean, H.P. Lovecraft was a shitbag, but the bottom line is that the stuff that he imagined and the way that all that worked, that, this is completely nameless. We can't understand it. Just looking at it drives you crazy, kind of thing. It's still pretty goddamn terrifying. It's like somebody just slitting open the sky and a couple of hands coming down. I mean, what do you do? There's nothing you can do. It's just completely out of your hands. All you can do is try and survive whatever it is.
When the old ones come,
when the old ones
survive.
Yeah. When Cthulhu wakes up, he's going to be grumpy. So just telling you right now. He's going to be
snackish.
He's going to be snackish.
I've played various flavors of the Cthulhu role-playing game over the years, and it's very good about bringing in that creep factor.
Yes, and the insanity, because the GM can start planting stuff that you're seeing that other characters can't, and it starts getting a little more and more wiggy after a while.
The role-playing game makes you a part of that process, because you can learn spells, you can learn magic from there. But every time you do, you increase your odds of going wacko batshit crazy.
Yep. There was a mobile game a few years ago. I remember the studio, but not the name of the game. That's really sad. It was on iPhone, iPad, called Oh shit, something to do with Cthulhu, I think. Anyway, can't remember what it was called. It was really good though, but you had it was exactly like the RPG in the sense that everybody had their skills. Some people had spells, but yes, every time you did this, that, and the other, it was basically insanity checks, and you had creatures that would drive your characters insane, and then they might just sit there gibber for a while, or they might start attacking you or doing other bizarre shit.
Sanity checks are some bad shit for you to have.
Yeah, when you roll a crit fail on that, it's not going to be pretty.
Character over, buddy. Character over.
So with characters in books, it's the same kind of thing. How do you describe a character going insane?
My opinion on that is you start skewing their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say anything about them going crazy. You just start shifting what they're seeing and gradually make it more and more unhinged to the point the reader just suddenly realizes he's lost it. He's gone.
I want to do this for my patrons. I just need to find the time to do it. I'd love to do a live reading of the Repairer of Reputations from the King in Yellow. The King in Yellow is a series of stories whose name I don't remember the name of the author. Really old shit. This guy inspired Lovecraft, so this is how bizarre his shit is. But the Repairer of Reputations is one of the most fucked up stories I have ever read, and it's because after about 2 or 3 pages, you start wondering, what's going on here? And then the more things go on and you see people's reactions, you go, what the hell is going on? And it gets worse and worse. And so by the end, you're just like, this guy's fucking nuts, completely fucking nuts. And then it brings into question everything that he was talking about. Was it all imaginary? All that stuff that was going on, he saw it, he experienced it, he believes it, but did it happen? Because he talks about things in history, and you're like, okay, was that his alternate reality that this happened in the 1870s and totally turned this on? And suddenly, it was all this bizarre, crazy stuff. There were suicide booths in the streets. I mean, it was just crazy shit.
It's sort of like the Mel Gibson movie, Conspiracy Theory.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that
one. Where they're trying to kill him, and he's like, oh, one of my theories is right. I just wish I had an idea which one it might be. So the story might be that. You have it all be whack shit crazy, and then you start putting kernels of truth buried in there that no one can determine which ones are true because everything else is so whacked.
Now that is a good way to write a detective story. So you don't ever see into the mind of the suspect or whomever it is that they're after, but they have to basically figure out what all this means.
That's one of the reasons that with mysteries, just like in history, some of the really good ones kept writing letters to the police. Like the Ripper.
Yes.
So if you start writing these letters to the police, you get a glimpse into the mind of the killer and their madness, but you don't actually get enough information to figure out who they are.
Right. James Herbert really did a good job with that in Moon. That's a mid-'80s book, maybe. We got flashes of insight from the killer, and I think in the first 3 pages is just from the killer's perspective, with a close omniscient narrator, and we see everything she's doing, and we're just like, from the first 3 pages, it's like, all right, bitches, we're gonna drop you in the gore. Here we go. And then you see flashes of that later on, where you get to see the killer start putting things together in little, 2 or 3 pages, and it works really well. Why are you doing that?
Because I just had a scene pop fully formed into my mind of, the classic 80s housewife thing, the flowered apron, the hair, stirring something on the stove
kind of thing.
Talking to the husband, dear, when you go out, make sure you go ahead and get this other thing from the store. And, by the way, I'm going to need your help with something here in the kitchen before you go out. And then turn around, and on the kitchen table, there's a butchered human being. You know, just take something so normal and just instantly turn it into something crazy batshit. And that scene just popped into my head.
Honey, you're going to carve the roast beef, goes over there, and it's a head.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something very much like that.
It's complete displacement, right? It's like the walls are breathing. If you've ever seen Pink Floyd's The Wall, the imagery is there to just completely distort reality. And it's intermingled with regular shit. And that's why it's so powerful, is because it goes back to the uncanny. Well, the world can be in a very uncanny place for somebody who's having a complete and total fucking mental breakdown.
So with the scene I just talked about, though, the power is in the fact of the normalcy not going away when the crazy arrives.
Right. The crazy is there, but everybody else is acting normal. This is not normal. None of this is normal.
Then you can have the kids come in. You could just totally do the whole,
oh yeah,
2 kids, the husband, the wife, doing things in the kitchen around the dead body that they're butchering.
Or the kid goes to pull off a drumstick off the turkey and it's an ear.
Something
starts
like
eating the ear.
I like gristle, mama.
Wow, for some reason we're really on the cannibal thing today.
I know, right? Take a bite of that.
Maybe I'm hungry. Honey, you gonna cook the ribs? Oh my god.
I love short ribs the way you make them, baby.
Yeah. Oh, my god. So yeah, stuff like that. And then the question is, what's driving them there? What's driving the mental breakdown?
It would be a really messed up story, though, where you never tell anyone what's driving them there.
Okay, that is a completely different setup. I don't know if you can keep that for an entire novel, though. I'm
thinking more of a short story.
Yeah,
you can do it with a short story.
Having said that, what is the game and book? Oh God, it's one where they're in the underworld of London.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Neverwhere. Okay, Neverwhere. Neverwhere is a book where it's entirely possible that the character is insane all the way through, from page 1 to the end. Completely plausible. And this is a homeless person who's having some kind of crazy breakdown. And we'll never know. I got to the end of it and I was like, this really could just be all in this guy's head. And he's been moving through New York's or London's underground and through the alleys and everything else, making the story up as he goes along. It's entirely possible. And you know what? It doesn't ruin the book one damn bit. Because it's not what the author said it is. The author left the doubt. And I think that is the really important part when you're writing suspense or mystery or things like that. You are giving characters doubts at the end, or maybe you're setting it up so the reader has to kind of make their decision about what happened, or did this really happen, or how did it really happen?
That would kind of almost be like telling a story by somebody in Harry Dresden's Chicago that's a normal human being and doesn't know about any of the whack stuff that's going on in the background.
Walking through the crazy, right? Yeah.
Walks through the crazy and just sees some of the crazy and comes up with his own explanation of, I don't know what that was. Maybe it was a movie being filmed. I heard something about a movie being made. That's what that has to be what that was.
In White Wolf's werewolf RPG, they would have the thing where if a werewolf completely lost their shit, like in a shopping mall or something like that, the number of people who would report it as just being a big dog, because their minds would not be able to process what they saw.
People will report, they will see what they expect to see. If they see something that is totally outside the realm of the possible, they'll try to wedge it into what is possible.
Or what's around it, or what it should have been.
Have you ever read about people and how inaccurate in-person reports are?
Oh, yeah. With each minute that passes, it gets more and more inaccurate.
If you talk to 4 people that saw a particular event, you're going to get 4 different stories, maybe with different protagonists.
Maybe with completely different outcomes and completely different descriptions of who did what and why. And then you'll get the person who says, I don't understand what I saw. Here's what I
happened,
saw.
Sir?
I don't know
I
what
haven't got the slightest idea.
I tell you what, I'm going to tell you what happened, what I think happened. You tell me what it means. Or you tell me how that works. Sir, you're out of your fucking rocker. I just said that.
Whatever you say, son. It's on YouTube. I don't care. I uploaded the video yesterday.
It's just, it is one of those things. And therefore the character, maybe they begin to doubt more and more of what they saw, or what they saw starts to break down into what really happened.
Over time, memories erode. The rough edges will be filed back down, and you will reassess everything that occurred to you. The order of things may change. What exactly happened may change. And it's definitely unreliable, particularly after even just a couple of days after the event. So it's amazing how that works.
Yeah, you go and get drunk the night before, the night after, and or you're drunk when something happens, and you try and remember exactly what it was, and there are moments missing. There's time missing in some cases, especially if you've ever been in a blackout. It's fucked up to wake up from a blackout. I can admit I've been there before many times. But you have to rely on other people to tell you what happened. That is the scariest fucking feeling in the world. Not having clues. The same way when I got hit when my motorcycle, when I got run over by a truck, or run into by a truck, I should say. I remember spinning and then hitting the concrete, and that's it. I don't remember much else besides them scraping me off the pavement. But the moment that I don't remember how it happened exactly. The series of events. I remember putting my foot down because I was stopping for 2 ambulances, and then I was spinning in the air. There's just these little bits and pieces that are kind of missing from all that.
It's convenient to have an accident right in front of the paramedics.
It was actually, and it was right in front of Ben Taub. So basically they scraped me off the pavement and took me a quarter mile to the trauma unit.
We got a pickup control. We're on our way in.
Yeah, there are 2 ambulances there dealing with some wreck. And when my wreck happened, so 3 of the paramedics from one of those ambulances came over to scrape me up while they called a 3rd ambulance to come, take me in, because the other 2 ambulances were full. So I had like 6 paramedics on me at one point. They were all very angry that I got up after I hit the concrete. They were very angry with me. And they were even more angry when I took off my helmet.
I can imagine.
Well, okay, so you fly through the air, right? You land on your side. It's dark. It's 6 p.m. in January. So I go flying through the air by the fountain. You know where I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And splat there. What's a roundabout, right?
Roundabout sucks.
So I hit the pavement, and I'm very confused what's going on. And I lift my head up, and all I see are headlights. That's all I see are headlights, because I'm facing oncoming traffic. My brain did not compute that traffic was not moving. My brain said, get the fuck up, you're going to die. So I got the fuck up. And then after stumbling, I realized those cars were not coming to kill me. And that's when the paramedics practically tackled me. But it is really one of those moments where you just don't know exactly what you're seeing. It looks completely different than, what is actual reality.
Frame of reference is very important. If you don't have a frame of reference, whatever you see will make no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing is God, even like, if you've ever been in a car crash, doesn't have to be a really nasty one, but getting popped by that airbag, first couple of minutes, you're like, what the fuck? Because it's very big traumatic thing. Your adrenal glands are going absolutely stark raving bonkers. Some people go into shock. There's a lot of stuff there that happens. And then, like you said, memory gets really faulty really fast. Characters, they're so much fun to fuck with. The problem is that we as human beings actually experience this shit too, which is why when you write about it, it's much more compelling to those people who have experienced it before.
Maybe more traumatic for the people that have experienced
it. Maybe traumatic is the right word. Maybe. Why are you laughing?
Because I was sitting here thinking of coping mechanisms. People develop their coping mechanisms to deal with that. And that prompted up something that somebody had mentioned about the movie Demolition Man. The one with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes.
Why in God's name would you bring that up unless we're going to make fun of the seashells?
Well, we could also do that, but I'm thinking of anytime he was thinking violent thoughts, he'd been taught to crochet. And so that popped into my head and I couldn't get it back out again in time.
Oh, it's like in Police Academy, badass Bubba Smith being a florist. 6'7" guy sitting over there, worrying over daffodils and shit. It's just like does not compute.
That kind of shit's fun to put in there.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, it is really cool to have that. It's really cool to have that and break the stereotypes or, just completely blow them away. And that's fun because if you live long enough, you'll see it. It's all around you. The stereotypes get broken.
They quoted a line from Demolition Man, something along the lines of, you're going to regret this for the rest of your life, all 2 seconds of it.
Okay. I want, this is what I want. I want to hear fan theories on the seashells.
Oh my gosh.
I want to hear DRS listeners tell us what the seashells are for. If you have not seen this piece of utter shit movie, you should go watch this piece of shit utter movie.
It's not awful. Considering that it's an 80s action movie, it's middle of the pack. It's not the worst by any means, okay?
No, it's not. It's not the worst.
Until you have Arnold Schwarzenegger going, you look like a farmer. Here's a couple of acres for you. And then he kicks you in the nuts. Then you go ahead and that's bad. All right. That's
McBain from The Simpsons, for crying out loud. Oh, God. Arnie. Yeah. Now that you mention it, when you put it that way, 80s action movie. Yeah. When you put it in that belt, it's not so bad.
You got to compare apples to apples here. When you start comparing Demolition Man to the rest of the movies from the 80s, it's pretty much middle of the road. It's not the worst. It's not the best.
Well, the worst part about it is you have to remember it's a farce. It is so farcical in so many goddamn ways. And really dystopian, but wacky dystopian to the point where you're just kind of like, what the fuck happened to these people?
Anything that results in Taco Bell being the only restaurant to survive the restaurant wars, that's bad.
Yes, but they don't just do tacos. They do everything, but they're the only restaurant. It's just insane. Taco Bell does sushi. Okay. I want you to try and make that compute. Taco Bell sushi.
This gets into world building where you take something and you just make it extreme just because you can. And then you try to come up with an explanation of how, or better yet, you just don't even explain it. You just put it out there and leave it up to everybody else to try to figure out how the hell could this happen? I think Demolition Man had a lot of that. Let's just put this out there and not explain it.
Yeah. And it worked. Hence why all these years later, the biggest thing I remember about that movie is the goddamn seashells. That is the biggest part of that movie that I remember. And it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. And I bet the writers don't even know what the hell they were talking about.
Oh, they were laughing the entire time they did that. There was a Bruce Willis movie where everybody in the world was using sleeves, just like in Altered Carbon.
Oh,
basically, you'd get in your device, and then you'd remotely control over the web, basically a Android body. I think that movie was the 80s. It was later, but that's a much better example of that kind of movie.
I think that's much later.
I think it is much later, but it's in the same vein. It's in the same vein of those kind of movies. I liked that movie a lot better. It would be an example of a good one.
Ah, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I can't remember what that was called. I'm sure one of the listeners do.
I'll look it up in a second while we're talking about it. But you can certainly go through the really bad action movies.
Yeah, okay. So, if you've got nothing better to do, go type in 80s and Netflix, especially if you didn't live during the decade. Start from 1980 and go forward. And holy shit, are you going to see a lot of changes in one decade? Some of them for the better, some of them for the much worse. All I can say is If I never see bell bottoms again, I'll be happy. Oh, and by the way, Terry, I did finally grab and put in my list Space 1999. I am going to watch it probably tomorrow, an episode or two, and I'm probably going to be cursing you for even letting me know it was there.
2009 Surrogates.
Surrogates. For some reason, my brain kept trying to say Replicant. I'm like, no, dummy, that's Blade Runner.
That was an excellent action movie. There was a lot of thought that went into that movie.
I just looked at it and went, I'm not really sure I want to watch this. Maybe I'll change my mind if it comes up in queue somewhere. We'll see.
The reason I thought it was an interesting movie isn't because they had all of the androids that could do all these amazing things. It's because Bruce Willis, the FBI agent, was stripped of his ability to use one.
Right. Take the tools away. Take away the tools from the character and then make them just basically use their brains.
It was interesting that way, and it worked really well.
I think the way Sandman by Neil Gaiman starts is somebody steals his tools and steals his power in the process. I think that's how that story starts, actually. It's been so long since I've read Sandman, I honestly don't know. But that's the thing, same kind of thing with Thor from the Avengers or whatever, right? Loses the hammer and now he's just nothing. You know, can't do all these other things, or Superman getting kryptonite or whatever. Fuck Superman. But the I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
That was your outside voice.
Yeah, my outside voice. Or taking somebody like your character. No more augmented armor. No more special nanites flowing through the blood. No more nanotech. Nothing.
Not like I did that in one of the novels. No, that didn't happen.
You would never do that. Yeah, that's when it gets interesting, because now the character has to rely on something other than just their ungodly technology. And the most fun thing is to make weapons useless. Traditional weapons don't matter. They have to make new ones on the fly. They have to use tactics. They have to use strategy to stay the fuck alive. Take away the toys and you have so much better story.
I agree. The current novel that I'm writing, I don't take away toys, but I subvert what they know.
Yeah.
I subvert their tactical knowledge and use it against them.
If you are eye docked into having a squad sense wherever you are, being able to communicate at all times, having that kind of tether, and then suddenly that's split, and you've only ever known cooperative strategy or anything like that, that's a big deal too.
There would be a lot of flailing when you get cut off from something like that.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of my point. Again, it's not so much taking away the tools, it's basically throwing them in a situation they're unfamiliar with. You know, if your weapons suddenly don't do what they're supposed to do, or they don't work on in the way they should on these things that they're fighting or whatever else, that's great. That's awesome.
Or you have the story where things are going swimmingly. Things are going great. You are just kicking some serious ass. And what you thought you were accomplishing is not even close to what actually is happening.
Right. That's kind of like with, the alien movies. I'm going to save everybody by blowing up the aliens. Well, there goes a huge tidal wave of acidic blood. Yeah. So kind of Pyrrhic. Yeah, you killed the aliens, but you killed everybody else in the process too. Because you thought that's the way it would work.
Did I do that? I'm sorry, half the squad's dead. Did I do that?
Oh. Anyway, yeah.
Urkel, the Space Marine.
Oh my God. Okay, DRS, make this happen. I don't have time to make this happen, but I want to see an Urkel Space Marine story.
Oh my gosh.
But don't call it Urkel. Don't get copyright infringed. We'll all know. Just describe the character, Space Marine, use the taglines. I want to see this shit. There's your writing prompt for the week. I you know what? The best one, I might narrate. If you guys do that, I might narrate it. There you go. Urkel Space Marine. Get on it. Or I should say Urkel-like. I won't put that Urkel. Can you imagine doing an anthology of Urkel Space Marines?
Wow, I
Nerd
cannot
Space
imagine that.
Marines. Nerd
I
Space
totally-
Marines.
I just totally can't envision
Not
this.
geek, nerd. Like complete, yeah.
Is your armor made for somebody just a little bit smaller than you because there's this gap above the boots? Just a little bit? What's going on there?
They're the only ones that have, you know, their combat suits have a pocket calculator or slide rules.
I keep my plasma rounds in a pocket protector.
The company's insignia is a slide rule.
Yikes. Our armor is high waters. That's it. In plaid.
Oh my god. Oh, this is why we can't have nice things because of this kind of shit. Oh god. Brain damage. Just
Yeah.
too much
Good
brain
luck
damage.
riding past this. That's what I have to say.
Oh god, I'm just kind of trying to imagine the kind of tales we would get. Anyway, I'm glad I put that on the ether. Yeah, you'll enjoy that.
You've now inflicted it on all of our listeners. Thank you so much for that.
Hey, you started it.
I did, but I didn't need
You
it.
started
I only
it.
mentioned it. You're the one that went ahead and made this into a writing prompt.
It was
so
a
I
really
blame
cool
you.
idea. It was a really cool image. It sounds very Looney Tune-ish. Give it 3 to 5 minutes and see what happens. If
Now
it's-
they're not going to be. They're going to be like, oh, but I got to write this other. Oh shit! I can't get this out of my head.
Next time you have writer's block, go tackle Urkel, the Space Marine. Or Urkel.
Then you can, if you can't manage that, you can do the Fresh Prince of Outer Space.
Oh no, God. Oh, please no. Oh well, it's your life. You do what you want.
Saved by the Imperial Marines. Boy, we are just going through all the shows back when I was a kid.
I'm trying to think of something for Three's
Imperial
Company.
Ties.
Imperial Ties. Oh my god. Welcome back, Vader.
There you go. Now you're getting on board.
Oh, this is so
I have this
bad.
note from the Emperor's mother. I know it's because it's signed Emperor's mother. Oh, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Vader. Mr. Vader. Mr. Vader.
If you think you know who John Travolta is, please watch an episode of
yeah.
that Carter. Please do.
Yes.
Until you see Vinny Barbarino, you don't know who he
And then
is.
you'll see Horseshack and it'll all be over. You will never get that voice out of your head.
No, you won't.
It'll be there forever.
It's been decades since I've seen an episode, and it's still in my mind.
Laverne and Sith. Instead of Laverne and Shirley. Never mind.
Unhappy Days.
Unhappy days. Apocalyptic days. These are. Oh God! Now we'll get a copyright strike. I'm not gonna sing that shit. Oh God! Terry's got a cat. So this is number 2 of the episode.
She was calling. She says, "Please pick me up."
Mm-hmm. You always listen to what the cat says.
I do.
What does the
Every
cat?
single time.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to decide if somebody's doing dental torture surgery outside my window or if they're using some other implement.
Is there screaming going on?
Not yet.
If there's screaming going on, it's dental.
Oh God. Oh, it just sounds so. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
When I was in the army, this is going to be a great story here. I went to the dentist to have one of my wisdom teeth removed, and down the hall, I could see the dentist working on another patient.
Oh no.
He was a little bitty short guy. He could not get the wisdom teeth out of this guy. They were locked up pretty bad, and he apparently wasn't willing to break anything apart. So he was climbing up on the chair to get better leverage. And I'm like, And the guy's like, "Arr!" And I'm like, I don't think I want this.
No,
I don't think I want this.
I had to have one of my teeth pulled many years ago now. And I have a female dentist, and she's kind of slight. So she had to, put the pliers on there, and then her assistant had to come over and help pull the goddamn thing out. Uh-oh. Cat has been thrown out of the room.
She asked to go out. She wanted out, so rather than have her start yelling at me, I put her out.
Yeah, probably a good thing to do. Probably a good thing to do. Wow, what the hell were we talking about before we got off?
Dentists. You were hearing a dental noise outside is what you were hearing. That's how we got where we are.
If you've never heard the crunch of a bone being pulled, or a tooth being pulled out of your skull,
that's not the sound. That's not the. It's the drill.
No. That's not nearly as bad as the crunch when they're grabbing the pliers back and forth, trying to yank that thing out of there. Oh.
I think we're kind of grossing the listeners out.
This has been kind of a horror show, hasn't it? When we're talking about psychological horror, then we moved on to kind of cosmic and creature feature, and now we're kind of
things that make you go,
things that make you go, ew. Hopefully, if you're in my world, anyway. Not Terry's. Terry is all fluffy, stuffed animals,
fluffy bunnies. That's me, baby.
Bears, that kind of stuff. That's everything that he does. One day I'll write one of those fluffy bunny stories. Yeah, don't count.
One of these days I'll write some horrific short story that you'll cringe reading.
I would welcome that. Because I would give it a really good blurb as opposed to, well, it's a horror story.
Damned if I know what I do with the damn thing when I finished it. We already know that I can't write horror because it just turned into a paranormal romance when I tried to write it.
Well, you go where your heart goes. You write the kind of stuff your heart wants you to write. Sometimes
I'm comfortable in my skin. I don't have to be a horrible person. I can have horrible thoughts and be a nice person.
I just love doing horrible things to my characters. It's kind of necessary, though.
Better to do horrible things to your characters than your neighbors.
Did I mention there's a drill noise going on outside?
Yes, you did.
I had so much luck this week. I had 3 days where there were nobody, for whatever reason, nobody did any lawn work. I managed to get an hour and a half of Derelict recorded and produced. Final hour and a half. I now only have 31,000 words left to narrate. I might actually be able to finish that this next week, the week after, which would be good because
what will you do with yourself?
Because Legends of Garaga will be wrapping up. What are you talking about? What am I going to do? I will spend the entire time finishing up Shipyards. Because if I do this right, by the time Trident finishes its podcast run, Shipyards will start right behind it. And then I'll be done with Derelict. It'll be done. I won't have to worry about it anymore. It's done. Until I get my rights back, we're done. That's it. Then I'll go finish the Black. And then I'll be done. I got other stuff to do. I need to clear the decks, make my readers happy, and as much as I can when under the current circumstances, and then I'll move the fuck on. That's my plan.
New series!
Oh, boy. Yeah, that story I picked up, I'm thinking it may be a 40,000 word one. I still really do want to write a collection of novellas called Suits. I still really want to do that. I've got all the stories in my head. I just need to sit down and figure out how they work. But I think each one will have different characters. And I think one of them was already published. Yeah, maybe in Contact This, I think. It'd be kind of cool. Be kind of cool to do that.
Make sure you look at the contract. Make sure you keep the exclusion dates in mind.
Oh yeah, well, it's not a problem. I think it's already. It'll be up by the time I do anything with it.
See, my dead ass. I've got rights to 2/3 of the stories that I've put in anthologies that I could put out myself. Have I done that? Absolutely fucking not, because I'm stupid. I should do it, but I haven't done it.
Spend the time to go file off the serial numbers and put it back out there.
I don't even have to file off the serial numbers.
That's even better.
The stories that I published for Chris Kennedy's universe that are out of the exclusion zone, all I have to do is say this story was originally published in and pointed back at the thing, and I can publish it to my heart's content.
Yeah.
But I haven't because I don't know.
Well, it's a good collection of stories. I mean, one I wrote for Contact, this has absolutely, I mean, since there's no overriding theme of that, anything that was there can be reused. And once you get the rights to do that, not really a problem. Not really a problem.
See, that short story that I wrote for, it wasn't for Contact This, it was for the post-apocalyptic one, is set in the same universe as Scorched Earth. So if I ever come back to writing in that series, I can use the short story for it. That's right. You could get a mention in book 2 after I killed you off in the short story. Have you ever read that story?
I don't think I've read that one yet. I think it's on my Kindle.
I am shocked because it's the one where it was my drag in Keith, the Possums, JR, and you, and have a big old killing.
Oh no, I have not even heard of this.
Oh yes, you have. I told you should read it, and I even sent you a copy because you're one of the people that I killed off in that story.
I must have had my head up my ass when you sent that to me. We'll talk about that after the show.
I'll send you another copy of it.
We'll see if we can find my Oh, there it is. Okay, got it.
It's because I killed you, but I had a 12-year-old girl kill you. You know, it's damned awkward when that happens.
Could be worse. Could be raining.
Could be in an outhouse.
Could be in an outhouse. Oh my God. With a hurricane outside or a tornado. How would you? I mean, you could just
you didn't die as bad. Just before we get on, you didn't die as bad as, say, JR did. Not as humiliating.
I knew you were going to bring his name up. I just somehow knew.
Well, it was his anthology. I had to kill him off. That's the way it works. There are rules, my friend.
I can't remember whose names I put in there. I put a couple of graveyard members in mine, I think. God, oh my God. I still have so many people to kill off. I have the great
man's work is never done.
I have a great opportunity in shipyards to just like annihilate half the people in my graveyard. I make it very convincing. But I think I'm going to not pull the trigger on that. I think I'm going to shuffle those folks into the red shirts for the final black book.
I had somebody contact me a few months back that their last name is Mertz. And since one of my characters in the Empire series is named Mertz, he said, this will probably never, ever come up again. But if you have a chance to use a couple of names, I'd like to recommend my infant sons, their names, as something you could put in there since they're Mertzes. And I said, I can do that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I did that. It's in this book that I'm editing now.
Cool. Like it.
Or was it this book? Yes, it was this book.
Terry's written so many, he can't remember them all.
Well, it's hard to remember. Was it the last Empire book or this Empire book? They kind of flow together in my head. It was
we've only got like 12 or 13 of them now, right?
This will be number 13 in the series. So yeah. Don't ask me what happens in the first 5. God only knows.
You know, I always think of these poor bastards at these cons. You know, author goes up there and some fan asks them a question about some book that they wrote 22 years ago. And it's like you can see the lights trying to come on, but not quite there yet. And it's one of those situations that's kind of awkward. It's like, can you remember everything that ever happened? Like if somebody brought up to me about something happened in the first Black Book, I don't know that I remember what that was. Because little tiny details, like you said, kind of flow away. But it makes it worse when you've been writing with the same characters or the same kind of setting or the same goddamn creature because you've done so many things with them, you can't remember everything you've done. So you gotta find new things for them to do. But yeah, I'm always wondering at cons when I see authors go through that. I'm like, I hope I never have to go through that where I can't remember what the fuck they're talking about.
It will happen.
It probably will, especially now that I brought it up.
Now people are going to hunt you down to ask you obscure trivia questions from your books at this point.
On page 35 of the Black, you mentioned this, that, and the other. You know that no oil rig can do that, right?
Yeah.
I want to see that character in one of your novels.
That's the kind of character that Garaga would eat, or the Black would just basically just come out and say, "Yep, that's mine. I'll take that. That looks like a good meal." Sorry.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm in a mood. It's been a hell of a week. It has just been a hell of a week.
That may even be worse than Urkel Space Marine.
It might be more disturbing, yes. Well, we should probably wrap this up since we've, babbled long enough, caused enough trouble.
Sounds good to me.
Taking people all over to hell and gone.
We pretty much drag them to the runger now.
On the runger?
The runger.
Damn, are you from Texas or what?
I may be.
I done dragged them to the runger. Huh? All right, Boomhauer.
Probably should be ringer, but I'm just going to go with a runger instead.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, homework. Urkel, like Space Marine, please do not trample on anybody's IP. That's your writing prompt. I don't have to see it. I just want to hear about it. Okay?
Every email that you send a copy of this to Paul needs to have the subject line, "Did I write that?"
There you go. We can put all right. Somebody put an entire anthology together called "Did I Write That?"
Oh my God. That's why I'm an idea guy. I'm
Somebody
so glad
get
I'm
on that shit.
that.
Somebody get on that shit. I want to see that. I will write a story for that.
It's not just Urkel Space Marine. You're talking about take some major trope. Superheroes. You have Urkel the superhero. You've got
Urkel Man.
Urkel Man. Did I crush that?
Oh my God. Today, playing the part of Wolverine will be Homer Simpson. Ooh,
donuts.
Today's Catwoman will be played by Krusty the Clown. Yeah, that's going to work out really well. Okay, other
CIA
homework.
action thriller with Urkel, super spy.
Other homework. Color Out of Space on the Zon. You can get it on the Zon if you got Prime. It's free. Color Out of Space on Shudder as well. I'll pimp those because they were good. They were good watches. I recommend.
If you haven't watched The Boys, that's my homework to you: is watch an episode or two of The Boys, because season 2 started
I got a
dropping
bad
yesterday.
feeling that if I watch one episode, it's going to be like, oh, well, there goes 8 hours of my life.
Remember how I advised you to watch Altered Carbon? I feel confident that The Boys will have a similar effect upon you.
Oh, no, that's not good. Oh, that's not good.
Not because it's the setting, but because it perverts the expectations so badly.
It just sounds so warped.
And anytime you see Carl Urban being Carl Urban, it's worthwhile.
Well, if you would like to drop us a line about the crazy shit that we talked about in this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find us on Facebook at Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group. Imagine that. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast. You may now take your third drink of the show because there's another cat on the screen. But we have to thank our wonderful hoster who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the podcast available for your ear holes. If you want to support the show, keep us on the air and keep us commercial free, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can really help us out and get access to exclusive content. By the way, folks, those of you who are anti-Patreon, buymeacoffee.com now allows memberships. So I will be putting that together hopefully this weekend or next and putting that up there. So if you want to support the show in an alternate method, we'll make that available for you. But as always, we have to thank our wonderful patrons for what they do. And at the $10 level on Patreon, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Summer Wilson, Joshua Sylvester, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, Nathan Cosby, Drew Bernardi, Chris Winder, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you very much, folks, as always.
Little girl thanks you as well.
Yeah, that is such a pretty cat. Oh, she's so pretty. Anyway, Terry, any closing words?
Get out there and write something. We want to see those Urkel Space Marine stories.
I want to see a Where Urkel. That's what I want to see. I want to see a Where Urkel.
Did I do that?
Doesn't transform into a werewolf, transforms into some kind of crazy creature like an embedded pocket.
His body ripped apart, parts leg everywhere. Did I do that?
Oh my God. We are out of here before we get any more stupid. Have a great Labor Day. Bye.